It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
The next question we have is from Scott. He said, would you guys advise using a Roth IRA as an emergency fund location? My thought is that I'm less likely to use the funds if they're earmarked for retirement.
Yeah, I have several issues with using Roth accounts. I mean, this is always, Bo is the one that brings up that you can use Roth as emergency, and I always cringe a little bit when he shares that. And it is a superpower that Roth IRAs, this is one more reason why they're step 5, is because they not only grow tax-free, which gives you tremendous opportunity to take advantage of, the compounding growth. But people love to talk about, hey, this is also, you don't have to keep a ton of cash because you can just load up that Roth IRA and it's a closeted emergency fund too. But there are a few problems with this. First of all, I shared on today's Q&A show, I was sharing my financial mistakes, and the biggest mistake was I didn't max out my Roth in some of those early years. But I also see people think about, when I was sharing all the details, I had a great rate of return that I shared, and that's primarily because your Roth assets can be invested in super compounding, aggressive growth type things. Because think about it, if you're going to try to invest $1 to try to turn it into $88, as I'm always talking about, you're not putting that in cash and equivalents. You're not putting that in bonds. You're going to put that in something that's giving you some turbocharged opportunity to turn this thing into a rocket ship to grow. So just by the asset class selection and the investment that you're putting in your Roth, those aren't great cash reserve type holdings. I mean, it's not something that if you got in an emergency, you go, hey, I'll just go pull it on my Roth. Well, more than likely that Roth is already invested in some turbocharged investment. And if we're in a volatile period where you needed the cash because, say you lost your job, you had a medical emergency, those things very well could be happening at the same time that we had market volatility and other things where your investment could be down 20 to 30%. That would be tremendously scary. So that's number one is that realize that you're probably investing that Roth IRA in aggressive assets. Not a great place to go be pulling out of for an emergency that you might be having. The second thing is that I think about the government has made these things. Why is step 5 of the financial order of operations, HSAs and Roth IRAs, is because the government's giving you tremendous incentives. They put a carrot out there to encourage you to save this because they're going to let it grow tax-free. They're going to give you all these benefits and opportunities. So good. This thing is so good that they cap how much you can put into it. I mean, if you can only put $6,000 in something, it's not like I can go pull that money out and then they say, hey, I don't want you to miss out on that money you pulled out because we need to let you take advantage of that compounding growth. We'll let you put it back in. No, it's a one-way street. They cap how much you can put in, So if you pull that money out in some point in the future for this emergency, there's no way to get it back in there. I guess we could get into 60-day rules and other things, but that's not a good practice. So I say be careful, pulling money out of something because it's hard to refill or put money back into that bucket. It's more of a one-way street. And plus, I don't love you taking away from that army of dollars that is already turbocharged with all the tax incentives, the ability to invest in growth assets. It's just not an ideal place for emergency reserves. Yes, you can do it. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you get, especially I mentioned earlier, medical emergencies. There might be a reason that just out of last resort, you had to go to this because it was a dire situation. But overall, I'd rather you have true cash reserves than to look at your Roth IRA as a cash reserves option. I mean, I think, like I said, it's a dire emergency type place that you can go break the glass, put it behind glass, so you have to break it to get into it. But it is not what you ideally should plan off of.